Yes. All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Free. I'm Ryan, and I'm the pastor and executive director here at Free, along with Abby Alt, who's our home team lead,
Hello.
along with Chase Alt, who's out there doing home team things.
Greeting.
Hey, welcome to all of you who are joining us online from wherever you're joining us from, even if it's later in the week and you're joining us. We're glad you're here. We're glad you're part of this community. This is a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And what we do here is break the silence of addiction and create space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. And there is one thing we don't do. Y'all can count it out. Count it out. Why don't you just shout it out when I count
Count
it
it
on
out.
the count of three, all four words. 1, 2, 3. Man, that
They
was
knew what
powerful.
to do.
We got a powerhouse here.
Powerhouse, yes.
Yes, powerhouse. Abby Alt, do you want to tell us what's coming up in the community?
Of course. First of all, if this is your first time joining us, welcome. We're so happy to have you. Outside of these doors right here, we do have welcome bags that contain some freshly roasted wagon coffee, some free swag, and we typically have our Connect cards in there. However, we have connected with so many people, we're out right now. So if we could have you download the app, fill out your information, we'd love to keep you apprised of all the exciting things happening at Free. Also, courtesy of Sheila and Rich Pepe, we had Make Your Own Mother's Day bouquets out here. So big thanks to them. Also,
Yes.
coming up on the 28th, we are partnering with the Phoenix for a
25th. 25th.
25th. The 28th is another exciting day here. The 25th, we are partnering with the Phoenix to host a sober open mic here at Free. It is sponsored by Spiro Recovery and Colorado Artists in Recovery. It's a super fun night. If you're interested in joining us, it starts at 7. Make sure you register at the Phoenix so that we know how many people are coming. It's really, really a great time here. So I highly encourage you to come.
Yes, and I put the link in the email this week. If you're not on the email, and that would be a good time to get it on the email. But it's also on social media. If you follow us on Facebook or Instagram, it's on there too. The link to sign up, reserve a spot.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
Yes.
And then on the 28th, we are hosting a day of service here at Free. We're going to be doing some projects around to keep this space fresh and clean. So it will begin at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We will be serving food, hot dogs, hamburgers, and beverages.
I'm
Yeah, we're
coming.
excited. And so you can either make sure that we have your email on the app, see either myself or Chase, and we'll get you the sign up genius, or just show up and be ready to work.
Thank you, Abby.
Yeah, thank you.
Lots of good things happening. And I want to toss the mic to Carrie McMullen. She's announced this for the past 2 weeks, but I said let's announce this one more week because I think it's really important. And if you weren't here the last 2 weeks, well, then this will be your first time hearing it. But the Into the Light Project.
Hi, friends. So, Into Light Project is a national nonprofit organization dedicated to changing the conversation about drug addiction and erasing stigma. We are helping DU get some submissions for this project. This will be displayed on the DU campus. The deadline is June 1st, so you have a little bit of time. This is unfortunately the last hard copy of this flyer that I do have, but on the back of it, there is a QR code that can directly link you to their site, which answers all of the questions. But if you have any relation to, so a loved one, a friend, anybody who has lost the battle of this disease to either drug overdose or drug poisoning, it's a wonderful way to honor your loved one. And if you have any questions, you can see me after the service and then get this QR code. You can also visit it. I know you've mentioned it on social media and in the newsletter this week. You can directly click that link as well. So you can see me after, and we have until June 1st.
Thank you, Carrie McMullen. All right, y'all. Hey, tonight we have, every Saturday night, we have a guest storyteller in the house to share some of their story. So later tonight, you're going to formally meet Pamela Less. She's been a part of this community for a long time now. A couple of years ago, we did this Letter to Your Addiction series. She did a letter to her son's addiction. This was a couple of years ago, but we've got a little clip of it. Here's a minute clip, and you can see the rest of the thing on the app. If you download the app, all the letters to your addiction are on the app. But here's our guest storyteller tonight.
My name is Pamela, and this is my letter to my son's addiction. Dear addiction and mental illness, yes, I am writing to both of you because you are linked together in the crime of robbery. You are a team that combined ripped out my heart and left me powerless to do anything for my son. The two of you left my son a shell of what he was and could be. You made me into the mother I never wanted to be. The mother who watches her child fall and wonders if he will ever get up. The mother who wants to fix everything and cannot. You left me angry, resentful, and heartbroken. 19 years ago, I held my son in my arms. I had wanted him more than anything in this world. Holding him, I could not help but to think of all that I wanted for him. I wanted him to be a good-hearted, kind person. I hoped that he would have compassion for others. I dreamed of what he may grow up to be someday and what he could give. As years
All right, to see the rest, go to the website or download the app. Thank you, Pamela, for doing a letter a couple of years ago. All right, y'all, the way we get started in this community on a Saturday night is we start with celebrations. We lift up the good stuff. We remember the good stuff. We start with the good. The new thing, maybe you're celebrating a sobriety anniversary or a birthday or a new baby, new job, new home, whatever it is, we want to celebrate it together. A very important part of our time together. We believe that God joins with us in the celebrations. If you're online, simply drop your celebration in the YouTube comments, the Facebook comments. We want to celebrate with you there. And we take 3 minutes. Both Darrens in the house have a mic, and they will pass around the mic. Just lift up your hands, and let's take 3.
My name's James, and I think it's 60 days sober today and clean, and I'm with my wife tonight, and I'm happy to be here.
Way to go, buddy. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, my name is Justin. I'm an alcoholic, and I'm celebrating the fact that I'm going to go home to Oklahoma to take care of some things and have a 3-hour visit with my kid on Tuesday.
All right, dude. Way to go.
Okay. My name's Trevor. I got 80 days clean and sober, so I'm happy for that.
8 days, man. Way to go, dude.
I am Melissa, alcoholic addict, and yesterday I got 15 months.
Melissa.
Hi, I'm Pamela, and I'm celebrating that I just noticed my kiddos online.
All right. Welcome, Sam.
My name's Ricky, and I'm 10 days clean off of fentanyl today.
Way to go, Ricky.
I'm Monique, and I'm a little past 6 months sober now.
Way to go, Monique.
My name is Bobby, and I am 4 months and 5 days clean off meth today.
All right, Bobby.
My name is Layla, and I'm celebrating 62 days sober with my daughter and unborn grandbaby on the way.
All right, Layla and new baby.
Get those hands up. We got more.
We got another minute. There, I see someone in the back here.
Hi, my name's Seth. I am close to 60 days sober. I didn't have a calendar, so I don't really know where I'm at. But I appreciate all you guys being here. Kudos to your strength. And carry on as you will.
All right. Thank you, Seth. We'll celebrate that with you.
Hey, my name is Chris. I'm celebrating 2 weekends in a row with both of my daughters and a trip to Vegas for work and staying clean and sober for the whole thing.
Way to go, Chris.
I'm John. I'm celebrating 8 months sober.
8 months sober. Congratulations.
My name's James. I'm celebrating 25 days clean.
All right, dude. Way to go, James. All right, can we get one of those mics? Oh, we got one more. Let's do it.
My name's James, and I've been sober off cocaine for 8 days.
Way to go, James. 8 days off cocaine. Darren, I'll take that mic. Thank you, sir. Thank you to both the Darrens and Tammy Canada, ladies and gentlemen, joining me for Celebrations Online.
I think the tech team might have a picture
They do?
for us. I think so. Aww.
Back in 2005.
Aww. Thank you, friends.
Yesterday, we celebrated 18 years. Beautiful thing.
Our relationship became an adult, they say.
Yes, we became 18 and older, so now
That's
we can do new things together. We got 2 marriages. But we're going to turn this page right now because it's going in a different direction.
Oh, no. Matthew says, hi, Free Fam. I'm missing the service and tech team tonight, but for a good reason, due to graduating college this evening alongside Haley, who is also graduating this evening. Wouldn't have made it to this point without the support of this wonderful community.
Beautiful. Matthew and Hallie, congratulations to both of you. Sam, who is Pamela's son. Welcome, Sam. We're glad you're here.
Yes, we are.
I have 18 months sober this month.
Way to
Sam,
go,
so
Sam.
proud of you, dude.
That is a
We've
big,
prayed
big
for you
deal.
for a long time, man. Proud of you.
Marlena says, I'd like to celebrate my daughter, Jess, who's there tonight. Hi, Jess.
Where's Jess?
She had a birthday Thursday and graduated MSU yesterday. So proud. Way to
All right,
go.
Jess.
Good job, Jess.
Kristen says, my middle daughter is home from college for the summer. And I think that's a celebration, so we're going to celebrate it with you. Yes.
And Mike says, I'm going to be a grandfather again. So grateful my grandchildren have never seen me drunk or high.
Yes, Mike, that's a good thing of recovery. Kelly Harris says, I bought a new puppy the other day, and I'm thrilled to have a snuggle buddy. Way to go, Kelly.
Cute. You're my snuggle buddy, you know.
I am your snuggle
Yes.
buddy. I will always be your snuggle buddy. We just made it awkward, didn't we?
Chris says, I'm celebrating my best friend Amber and sharing good food and great times together.
All right, Christopher. Okay, thank you, Snuggle Buddy, for being up here with me. All right, y'all, we are in the third part of this series called Ever Wonder Why? And tonight we're addressing the question, why are they throwing their life away?
Why? It's a simple question with no simple answers. Why do bad things happen? Why now? Why can't I stop? Or why are they throwing their life away? We've made it through hard times before, and I want to have faith, but I still wonder, why?
Why are they throwing their life away? I mean, that's the question we ask when we're watching someone we love battle addiction, isn't it? And we say things like, man, they have so much potential, so much talent, so many gifts to offer to the world. Why are they throwing it all away? So a couple of weeks ago, we were presenting at a church, and the topic of conversation that evening was, how do you offer care to those battling addiction? And this particular group of people, they submitted questions prior to the event. We had access to those questions. And one of the first questions asked was, in supporting an addict, do you believe in tough love? That's a good question, isn't it? Do you believe in tough love? And my response to that question is, no, I do not believe in tough love. I was not given tough love. When I came into recovery, into the rooms of recovery, I was not given tough love. I was given love. Even though at that time I may have been tough to love, but I was given love, and I didn't know up from down. I came in with a closed heart, came in full of fear, full of shame, having to reconcile that I was a drunk and I was a pastor. And when I stayed for a little bit and then went back out to the drink and caused a mess of things and came back in, I was not given tough love. I was given love. and welcome and no shame. See, I don't think God ever does tough love. I had too many experiences, man, too many stories. God is always yearning for us to come home. God is always weeping for us. In fact, you remember the prodigal son story, right? It's a foundational story here, Luke 15. The son goes off, makes a mess of things, comes back home. He's worried about what Pops is going to say. And how does Pops respond? The godlike figure in the story. He responds with compassion, open arms, throws him a party, says, welcome home. In fact, do you know the shortest verse in Scripture? It comes from John's Gospel, John chapter 11, verse 35. And it's two words, two beautiful words. Jesus wept. Shortest verse in all of Scripture. In this moment, Jesus is weeping, grieving with his friends over a loss. In Luke's Gospel, Jesus is found weeping again. And this time he's standing up on top of a hill. He's overlooking the city, and he's weeping for an entire people who are lost and hopeless. My friends, this is not tough love. This is real love, weeping. And he utters the words as he's standing on the hill. He says, if only you would know the things that make for peace, but now these things are hidden from your eyes. You see, tough love. Tough love says, I'll show you. Yeah, I'll show you. I'll try to control this situation and manipulate you to get you to see it my way. That's tough love. And do you see how tough love is always a bit selfish? I mean, tough love is always bent on control and manipulation. I do not believe in tough love, but I do believe in boundaries. And boundaries are very different than tough love. Boundaries say something else. Boundaries say, I am going to be a good steward of this gift of life I've been given by God. I am going to tend to my mental, spiritual, and physical health so that I can love you in the fullest way possible. Because if I don't remain healthy, then I will be of zero help to you when and if you are ready to receive help. And here's what I know. If you live boundaried love in your life, there will still be weeping. Yeah, because nothing can protect you from the pain of watching a loved one suffer. And I would say to you, love your people hard. Don't ever stop. Show grace and have boundaries. And we have to remember, in this work of boundaries, if you don't know who you are, it'll never work. You won't be able to do it. You know, there's a collection of ancient poems and prayers. They're called Psalms. In fact, if you were to take a Bible and open right to the middle, you would likely land somewhere in the middle of the Psalms. There's 150 of them. I love the Psalms. One of my favorite Psalms is this one, Psalm 8. And here the psalmist is praying to God, and the psalmist writes, God, what are human beings that you are mindful of them? What are human beings that you pay attention to them? Yet, very important word, yet you have made them only slightly less than divine and crowned them with glory and honor. And do you all know why I love this psalm? Because he uses this big, over the top language, and he says, don't y'all get it? We're just a bunch of dust. We talked about this last week, right? 90% of the household dust comes from the skin that you shed. So you need to go home and vacuum. We're just a bunch of dust. You are just a collection of molecules. You're here one day and then you're gone. And yet, you are crowned with glory and honor. And y'all listen, I get it. That is not the way we generally talk in this day and age, is it? Tammy and I, yes, we celebrated 18 years together yesterday. You know what she didn't say? She did not roll over in bed yesterday morning and say, oh my goodness, honey, you are crowned with glory and honor. Now, I think she said something like, is the coffee ready? But we don't talk that way, do we? We don't talk about being crowned with glory and honor. But do you see what the psalmist is saying to his people? He's saying there's a great dignity and a value to you being a human being. There is like a sacred, holy dimension of you being a human being, that you reflect the divine image. God is in you, therefore you are crammed with greatness. Now, here's what happens. I see it happen all the time. Lots of people too often stop before they get to that second part, that second verse. And y'all know how that plays out, don't you? So, well, poor old me. I'm just a collection of dust, just a collection of molecules. Poor me, I'm just a stay-at-home mom, or I'm just a construction worker, or I'm just a drug addict, or I'm just an alcoholic, and just. And do you see how important it is to understand who you are? Yes, you are just a collection of molecules, and yet you have been crowned with glory and honor. You, my brothers and sisters, are crammed with greatness. That's where the story starts. Now, there's lots of things lots of ways we can make a mess of the story. Y'all know these ways. There's lots of things that pull us away from the story of who God created you to be. And one of the primary things that will always pull you away from the story of who God created you to be is a lack of boundaries in your life. So let's talk about boundaries for a moment. Yeah, this is hard work, isn't it? This is some of the hardest stuff we can talk about. 3 quick things on boundaries. First, when we ask, why are they throwing their life away? That question generally comes from a place of heartache. Is it true? So we have to ask the deeper question that points back to us. What is this relationship doing to me? Yeah, you have those difficult relationships in your life. Those awkward, tense, difficult relationships. Ask yourself the question, what is this relationship doing to me? Does it constantly steal your energy? Does it constantly have a way of telling you how you are not good enough? Does it bring out the best in you? Or here's another way to ask it. Do you have to detox after spending a certain amount of time around this person? You see, what does this relationship do to me? Do you have people in your life who have that supernatural ability to say something to you, and still 3 days later you are replaying that thing that they said to you and you can't stop playing it up here? You see, what does this relationship do to me? Because you have been crammed with all kinds of greatness, so you have to ask the question, am I being a good steward of the gift of life that God has given me? Yeah, boundaries. And if you struggle with this, you need to know you are not alone. This is some of the hardest work we do. If you have relationships in your life that absolutely drain you, normal. You might say to me, well, you just don't understand. I mean, these people push my buttons and they trigger me. Oh, they trigger. We love to use that word, don't we? We're always triggered. They push my buttons, normal. Well, you don't understand. I have family members, and when I get around them, they just push my buttons. Normal. They're the ones who installed those buttons. Totally normal. Setting up mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual boundaries in your life will help you distinguish what is your responsibility and what isn't your responsibility. So when we're talking about boundaries, we're talking about what is yours to carry and what isn't yours to carry. Are you with me? Idea number 2 when it comes to boundaries. Once you do the interior work of figuring out what is this relationship doing to me, ask the next question. How do I maintain my peace? And listen, if you are in recovery, if you identify as someone who's in recovery, very, very important. You cannot afford to give away your peace. And yes, we use the language of giving away because no one can take your peace. You can only rightfully give away your peace. And if you're in recovery and you give away your peace, be very, very careful. You are in a very dangerous spot. You see, when you engage in the work of setting boundaries, you also need to remember there is going to be the voice of the inner critic. Y'all know this voice, right? The inner critic will creep up and say, dude, you're going to set that boundary? Man, have you just lost your heart? Have you lost your compassion? Anyone had the voice creep up? It'll say, dude, you're going to set that boundary? What are you, just mean and cruel? No, you are not mean and cruel. You are doing what has to be done so that you can first maintain your peace and second, go on to love them and others in the most full way possible. And if you're saying to yourself, well, man, Pastor, this doesn't sound very Jesus-like. Really? Because Jesus, you do know, was all about relationships, but he also had incredibly firm boundaries in those relationships. Like there's this story told in Luke chapter 12 where Jesus is among a crowd of people and someone shouts across the crowd and says, hey, Rabbi Jesus, will you tell this brother of mine to give me the money that he owes me? And do you know what Jesus says to him? He shouts back across the crowd. He says, friend, who sent me to be judge over you? In other words, you are not going to pull me in to your mess. I'm not going to be a part of your chaos. This is your problem. You need to figure it out. Again, in Matthew chapter 10, Jesus is hanging out with his best friends. They're called disciples. And he's like giving them their purpose and their mission in life. He says, y'all are going to go into different towns and different villages, and you are going to spread the mission and the message of God's love for all people and show them that God's love is for all people, not just some. And the disciples, they get a little creeped out. They're like, yeah, but Jesus, what if we go to this village and the people don't welcome us? What does Jesus say? Does he say, well, what you need to do is you need to control the situation and manipulate them to get them to see it your way? No. You remember what he says? If that village rejects you, you shake the dust from your feet and you move on. You see, Jesus had boundaries with even the people that he loved the most. On another occasion, hanging out with his best friends, the night before he was crucified on a Roman execution stake, he says to his best friends, he says, y'all need to know where this whole thing is headed. The empire is kind of against me right now. I know what they do to people like me, and I am going to die on a cross. And what's one of his closest friends, Peter, say? Peter stands up and he says, Jesus, you can't leave us. I mean, do you even love us anymore? You're just going to leave? You're going to go into Jerusalem and you know what's going to happen? What Jesus says is some of the harshest words you find in Scripture. Jesus stands up and says to Peter, one of his closest friends, he says, get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me. Jesus had incredibly firm boundaries. You see, how do you maintain your inner peace through these very difficult situations? When it comes to being around this person, and the snide remarks, and the passive-aggressive behavior, and the manipulation. Ask yourself this question: how long can you be around this person before you lose your true self? How long can you be around this person before you start to become someone you don't want to become? And set some boundaries. Set some boundaries. How long can you hold on to your true self? So if you're going to that family barbecue, and that family member is going to be there, the one that triggers you, the one that pushes all your buttons, set some boundaries. In fact, you tell the person you're going with, and if you're not going with anyone, you call someone before you go, someone you love and trust, someone who can give you some accountability, and you let them know your boundary. I am going to stay for 2 hours, and stick to the boundary. So that means even if things are going well, you leave at the 2-hour mark because you've set boundaries and you're sticking to them. Some of you are saying, no, you don't understand. I can't do 2 hours. Fine, I don't care. You pick the number. Maybe you can do 30 minutes. You go and you stay for the 30 minutes. After the 30 minutes, you're out. Maybe it's 5 minutes. Maybe you just have to go and make an appearance and say hi to a few people, and you grab a muffin at the end of the 5 minutes and you walk out because you've set a boundary and you are sticking to it. Because now you are asking better questions like, what does this relationship, what's it doing to me, and how am I going to maintain my peace? Very important in your recovery. And you do know, it is okay to refuse to participate in their madness. It's okay. When it comes to dysfunctional family systems, when it comes to a certain relationship or a certain individual, it is okay to walk away. Oh, but if I walk away, I don't think I could just. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. You're not doing it out of tough love. Make sure you're not doing it out of resentment and spite and anger, but you're walking away because now you know who you are and you know the importance of boundaries. You say, yeah, but Ryan, if I just walk away, you got to understand they're going to be mad at me. Yeah, they might be mad. That's okay. Yeah, they might even start to act a bit childish in their behavior. That's okay. You know who else acts childish in their behavior? Our 4-year-old. He acts like a 4-year-old. You know what he does sometimes? Sometimes, no, Bricks, you cannot have another piece of candy. He'll do one of these. And he'll get a pouty lip. And he'll start stomping around. Yeah, that person you just set a boundary with, they might act like a child. It's okay. You don't have to behave poorly when they're behaving poorly. You can actually keep your peace when they are losing theirs. And you know, I hear people say all the time, they say, well, I guess I'm just supposed to take it. Really? I guess I'm just supposed to take it because, well, you got to know I'm the mom, or I'm the dad, or I'm the brother, or I'm the sister, and I'm the friend. And so I guess this is just kind of my cross to bear. No, it's not. No, it's not. Stop playing that game. You are not crowned with shame and guilt. You are crowned with glory and honor. You have to remember who you are. And if you are struggling with boundaries in your life, and believe me when I say this, you are not alone. People know what this struggle is like. You are not alone. I would encourage you to pray. Ask God for wisdom. God, give me wisdom to know the appropriate boundaries to set up. And then after you ask God for wisdom, ask God for strength. Help me uphold these boundaries that I just set up. Do you know when I first came into the 12-step rooms of recovery, I could not understand why are we starting the meeting and ending the meeting with these same rote prayers that everyone's memorized? I mean, it's just rote by now. Why can't we do something else? Why are we doing this? This is stupid. Yeah, it might be stupid until you hit a time in your life where you absolutely don't know what to do. You don't know how to pray. You don't have the words to say. You don't know what to do with this particular person or situation or relationship. And in those moments, you might want to cling to something like the serenity prayer. Cling to it, pray it like your life depends on it. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And idea number 3, I'll keep this one brief. Do not do the work of boundary setting alone, on your own. Yeah, because there might be some things you're missing. You can't always see everything. Get some outside perspective from people you love and trust, and they love and have the best interest for you. Get outside perspective. Very important. Do you know a couple of summers ago, we were as a family vacationing in Daytona Beach, Florida. Went and spent a week out there. You know what I remember about this vacation? 2 days before we went to Daytona Beach, Florida, I came across an article on the internet, and it was titled, New Smyrna Beach, Florida, the shark bite capital of the world. If you don't know where New Smyrna Beach, Florida is, it's just a couple of miles south of Daytona Beach. So we get to Daytona Beach, and I'm like, kids, let's go play in the water. But you got to be careful because it's a shark bite capital of the world. I didn't say it, but y'all know I'm thinking it. And all week long, we played in the water at Daytona Beach. And do you know we didn't see one shark until the last day. We were staying in this condo, and we were on the 11th floor, and there was a balcony outside our room, and you could go out on the balcony and see the water, see the ocean. Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. And on that last day, we were all up in the room, getting showers, getting dressed, packing to go back to the airport. And me and our daughters, Selah and Shiloh, we decided we were going to get all ready, then go out to the balcony and say goodbye to the ocean like you have to do, you know. And we all saw it at the same time, like this massive 6-foot dark shadow just moving up and down the coast, really close to the shoreline, really close to where people were swimming. What do you think my daughter started to scream? Shark! Shark, get out of the water! And I said, babies, there's no way they can hear you. We are 11 stories up. We have to go down there and tell them. And so we exit the condo. We get in the elevator. We go down 11 floors. We walk out to the beach. And by this time, there was one of those lifeguard trucks with the sirens going, and he had the bullhorn, and he's telling everyone to exit the water. And we're standing right at the water's edge. And a guy comes walking out of the water. He says, did you guys see something? I'm like, dude, yeah, we saw something. It was like a large, massive shark swimming up and down the coast, and he got really close to where you guys were standing. He was just kind of like circling you guys. And he said, dude, I didn't see anything. And I'm like, dude, that's because you were right in the middle of it. You see, my brothers and sisters, find the people that you trust, the people who love you, the ones on the 11th floor who can see the things that you can't always see because you might be right in the middle of it. And I'll close with this. Some of you have done a really great job at surrendering your own self to God's loving care, even on a daily basis. You know the value in it. But man, you really struggle to surrender others to God's care, especially when you're crying out, why are they throwing their life away? And maybe for you, it's time to engage in the work of doing some handing over, to trust in something that's bigger than you. You see, perhaps you have some things in your life that you need to let go of. Some things in your life that you maybe even need to walk away from. Not because you're mean and cruel, not because you do tough love, but because you know who you are and you have boundaries. You are going to live into all that greatness that you are crammed with because you know who you are. And so that you can go on and love others in the fullest way possible. You see that thing, that stuff that you're carrying, that relationship or that chaos or that enabling, what if it's not yours to carry? If it's too heavy, it's because you picked it up. So I would remind you, yes, love your people hard. Keep loving, show grace, and maintain your peace. Have boundaries. So we're going to hear a song now. It's by the one and only Jelly Roll. His new one called She. Very powerful song. And I would encourage you to stay quiet during this moment. Use it as a time of reflection. We have candles and lighters up here. If you have someone in your life and they are battling this disease of addiction and you're crying out, why are they throwing their life away? I would encourage you to light a candle. Light a candle for them and for you. It's a simple act of remembrance. It's a simple act of prayer. And if you want to just stay seated and stay quiet and reflect, you're certainly welcome to do that. But this time is yours. with us, you should know that every Saturday night we have a guest storyteller in the house to share some of their experience, strength, and hope around the topic of the evening. And I've already introduced to you Pamela Less. So I won't say any more because you're going to hear some of her story. Now, would you all help me welcome Pamela up into the living room? Go again. Are you ready for this? Let's do it.
Hi.
Welcome back for a second time. Pamela, I'm so glad you're part of this community. I know you've been part of this community, I think, for at least the last 4 years. In fact, I was telling the last service, we did a panel discussion at our old location. It was the first one we did, I believe, on the opioid crisis, wasn't it?
Yes,
On the
I think
opioid
it
crisis.
was.
And that's how you heard of Free, and you've been kind of coming ever since.
Yeah, saved my life.
Yeah.
Really did.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that some.
Okay.
So I want people to hear from you. What was it like to find out you were the loved one of an addict? And because we are a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And what was that like for you?
It was completely devastating. Really sad, tragic. As a parent, you want or you hope that your child's life is going to go in a certain direction. You know, they graduate high school, they go to college, get a job, you know, they're healthy and they're productive. And to watch that all crash and burn with so much talent left on the table, it's a grieving process.
Yeah. Yeah, and for you, it was, you said it was actually really scary.
Yeah, frightening.
And I know you were introduced, we can talk freely about Al-Anon here, that you are an Al-Anoner, been part of Al-Anon for the past 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
You were actually introduced to addiction prior to finding out your son was one who battled addiction.
Right.
So you weren't brand new to this stuff. Al-Anon gave you so many great tools. Do you want to say a word about that?
Yeah, definitely. My son is not my qualifier. It was a previous relationship. And I got into Al-Anon due to that. And I'm actually quite grateful for that experience because then when my son started to have problems, I had already been 6 to 12 months in Al-Anon. So I wasn't starting from square one. I already had tools, I already had support. And I'm not going to say it was easy, but I didn't make the mistakes that I had made previously.
Yeah.
So this was like a second chance and really a much more important opportunity.
So what were some of the signs you were seeing or some of the behavior that was was you finding out?
Yeah.
This is addiction.
He started using when he was 16. I didn't find out till he was 17, so he was quite young. His drug of choice was cannabis. And 4 years ago, nobody really knew what cannabis-induced psychosis is. I didn't know. It took me 3 years to learn and figure it out and put all the pieces in place. But the behaviors are extreme paranoia. As an example, for example, he thought that the Nazis were all over Colorado and they were after him. And we're Jewish, so you can imagine how incredibly terrifying that was for him. And for him, it was very, very real. Very aggressive, violent behavior, verbally abusive, physically abusive, stole from me, stole my car. It was at the point where I was sleeping with my wallet and my car keys. Suicide ideology. There were several, thank God, unsuccessful attempts. But my life was utter chaos.
So if you had some, I'm assuming you had some outsiders in your life that would say, Pamela, what are you doing letting him live in your house? Why don't you just kick him out?
Yeah, that's a fair question. Well, for starters, he was only 17, so he was a minor. So legally, I could not kick him out, or I would go to jail. the police were at our house constantly, and they would give him a stern talking to, and then they would leave. So all that said to him was, okay, they come, they talk to me, they leave, nothing happens. So it was very, very difficult, especially the last 6 months before he turned 18. I basically just had to wait until he turned 18 before I could really do something. And in terms of other people offering suggestions and why don't you just kick him out, nobody really did that because nobody else knew what to do either. Nobody had any answers.
So I want to talk about the importance, you finding the importance of setting up boundaries in your life.
Yeah.
Sticking to those boundaries, why you had to do boundaries. It was interesting. You told me it's hard for parents not to enable because this is your baby. And there's this thinking that goes around that if I let them use in my house, at least then I know they're safe.
They're not safe. Your kid is going down. So with everything I just described previously, I had a decision to make. He's going down, and there's nothing I can do about it. So the decision I made was, he's going down, am I going to go down with him? And I said to myself, no, that's not going to happen. So about 4 to 6 months before he turned 18, I made a list of 5 rules or boundaries that he had to adhere to if he wanted to stay in my house after he was a legal adult at 18. And I told him, you'll be an adult at the end of August. My work is done. I don't have to have you here if I don't want you here. And so the 5 boundaries were, or the rules were, 1, he had to respect me because he didn't. And he would call me every horrible thing that you could possibly call anybody. Rules, forget it. He didn't follow any rules. 2, he had to respect my house and my property. He had caused $4,000 worth of damage to my home. Holes in walls, broken windows, etc. 3 was he had to be a full-time student, full-time employee, or some combination of the 2. He's just not going to get high and hang out on the sofa. That's not going to happen. The 4th one was...
No
They're
drugs.
not up there anymore. What was the 4th one?
They're up there still. Absolutely no drugs or paraphernalia in the house or anywhere on my property.
Right. So I couldn't stop him from going out somewhere else and getting high and then coming home, but not in my house, not on my property, no paraphernalia, no drugs, nothing. And then the 5th rule is you have to go to some kind of 12-step program, AA or whatever you want. You have to go to a 12-step program. And you can't just do 1 or 2 of these, because I remember him saying, well, I've done this one and this one. I'm like, no, you got to do all 5. And if you don't do all 5, then you need to find another place to live because you can't live here.
So that's a really important piece, right? Setting those rules or boundaries, whatever you want to call them, and then
the
saying, if you don't do this, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah. And you have to set a boundary and a consequence that you know you're going to follow through on. Because if you don't follow through on it, it's just like the police that would come over and give him a stern talking to and walk out the door and nothing happened. So had to follow through. And so the day came and he turned 18 and nothing changed, and he wasn't going to do any of those rules or boundaries that I set. So I had to start the legal eviction process.
Yeah. And as a mom, kicking your kid out, what was that like?
It was horrible. I mean, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to have to do that. I was, I hoped and I prayed that he would come around and follow those rules, but it clearly wasn't happening. So it was really hard. I had my sponsor on the phone with me the entire time. If she wasn't on the phone with me the whole time, I may have caved. So I needed that support. And it's twofold. On the one hand, I cried because now, gosh, I don't know where he is. But on the other hand, I went out to work, I came home, and the house was peaceful. So, I had to take care of me.
Yeah, yeah, protecting your peace. Uh, so let's fast forward a little bit. Well, here we are, 4 years later from
Mhm.
that time. Um, where are things? Where's your heart?
Uh, he's he's doing really well. As you saw, he has 18 months sober. Yay! So he was in and out of jail for a while. Spent 8 months in jail and was sent to a halfway house over a year ago now, I think, and he's doing really well. He's doing so well that I just found out a couple days ago he's going to go to what they call a graduate house, which I think sounds more just like a regular sober living kind of situation where he has a bit more responsibility, a bit more freedom. And he was given an opportunity to attend community college and study to be an addiction counselor. All expenses paid, tuition. He's gonna be paid to be a student basically,
Yeah.
and he's super excited about that, and I'm super proud of him.
Yes, and we are too. And I think it's important for this community to know that, because you would often share in a general way, because that's how we do it. We share in a general way. You never went into details and vomited on the community. But we were lifting up Sam for a very long time and praying for Sam for a very long time.
Yeah.
So to see that he is 18 months sober and doing all this,
Yeah.
having incredible opportunities like we get in recovery, that is a huge blessing. I don't know
Oh
another
my God,
word for it.
it is.
Miracle.
Yeah, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
would you, and looking back on the experience, would you say there are any things you would have done differently, or maybe any regrets that you have?
hmm The only thing I wish I'd known to do is that when he was 17 and still obviously a minor, and I had some legal control, I wish I had known to try to get him into a mental health facility for inpatient. And I don't know if I would have been able to, because cannabis-induced psychosis was just not even recognized then. So I may not have been able to do that, but at least I would have liked to have known to try, but I didn't. So
Sam is watching tonight.
I know.
Your
Hi.
baby boy.
Yeah.
So if you were to look into that camera and say something to him, what would you say to him?
Oh my gosh, I love you so much. I am so incredibly proud of you, and I am so grateful that God chose me to be your mom.
Woo! And Sam, we are proud of you too. We're glad your mom is part of this community. You're part of this community. Pamela, are you going to hang out tonight? And
Yeah,
will you hang out for a few minutes? Because I
Definitely.
think there might be some loved ones in this room who are asking the same question you were asking. Why are they throwing their life away? If y'all want to know more about an Al-Anon experience, boundaries, what it's like to have some solidarity of being a loved one of someone battling through this stuff, talk to Pamela. She's got some experience.
Happy
Pamela,
to do
thank
it.
you for sharing some of your story with us tonight. Pamela Less, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What a great joy it is for me to be able to talk to our guest storytellers every week. So much fun and so helpful. I hope you all find it just as helpful. Hey, the way we close things down on a Saturday night, similar to the way we begin. We begin with celebrations, but we don't ignore the hard stuff. We just save it for now. So that means any heartaches that you have, burdens that you're carrying, things you're carrying that you have no business carrying alone because you suck at carrying these things alone, we lift them up. We call them heartaches. So maybe you have something you need prayer for, a burden that you're carrying. Very important part of our time together, and we believe that God always hears the cries of the people. So if you're online, again, just put your heartache in the YouTube comments, the Facebook comments. We'll heartache with you there. And the Darrens, they will pass around a mic and house. So if you have a heartache, just lift up your hand, and we'll take 3 minutes for this.
Hi, I'm Melissa. I just want to lift up my niece, Christine, who's on the run right now and back in her active addiction.
Prayers for Christine and you.
Would like for everyone to have prayers for my family-in-law brother, Rick. He's really having a struggle with alcohol right now.
All right. Prayers for Rick, lifting Rick up tonight.
Hi, my name is Carrie. I would like to pray for all the moms out there who might have a difficult day tomorrow, whether it's from estrangement or perhaps just a difficult relationship with their moms. I know sometimes it's a bittersweet day for some.
Yes, thank you for lifting them up, Carrie. Prayers for all those who will have a tender day tomorrow.
My name is Angela, and today my daughter entered sober living after 5 weeks of incarceration and 2 years of addiction to fentanyl. I would like to lift her up, that the Lord would just come in and encounter her in a way like never before, and that she's on the road to success. And she's also watching right now.
All right. Prayers for your daughter, and I'm glad you're watching. I hope you know this community is loving you and supporting you from a distance.
Prayer, please, for a friend in our sober home that's relapsed, and that love can bring him back in and realize the grace of God that we all make mistakes.
Yeah. All right. Lifting him up.
My name's Bobby, and I just want to lift up Crystal and my family because I'm trying. I'm doing what I need to do.
All right, Bobby. Prayers for your family. Prayers for Crystal. Anyone else? You got a few seconds left.
My name's Kristen. I'll lift up Thomas. Who just told me he wanted to live. So he's at the beginning.
All right. What a beautiful prayer of wanting to live. Prayers for Thomas.
My name is Terry, and I want to lift up my daughter and grandkids.
All right. Prayers for your daughter and grandkids. Thank you all for your vulnerability and the lifting upness that you all continue to do in this community. And thank you, Darren, and Darren, for passing mics around. Thank you for joining me up here.
Yeah,
It's always
I
good to
do
see
have
you.
one.
You do. Let's hear it.
Just those two gentlemen that we were working with this week.
Yeah.
And for everybody, it's not quite ready yet, but it's just about there. That that God works the magic on them and gets them to the place where they need to be.
Yeah. That's a good way to say that, for God to work some magic on them. All right. We're going to pray for them, lift them up, and join our online people.
Christy says, prayers for the Hayes family who lost their dad today. Comfort and peace for their heartache. Praying for you and the Hayes family.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Prayers for
Christy.
the Hayeses. Jim says, we are a year out from losing our sons, Matthew and David, to alcohol. Please lift up their memories in prayer and especially lift up their mother, Susan, on this Mother's Day as she continues to grieve. What a very difficult day tomorrow will be. Jim, thank you for mentioning that tonight. Prayers for your whole family. Prayers for both of you tomorrow.
So we have Samantha. Please lift my sister and her husband who are applying for guardianship of their niece who lost both parents to overdose.
Lifting them up,
Lifting
Sam.
them up, yeah.
Man. Roger says prayers for all struggling with recovery. Thank you, Roger. I'm sure this community will take that prayer, and all those outside who are still out there suffering, prayers for them. Thank you, Darren, for being up here with me. Listen, y'all, I tell you this every week. A very important part of being community together, very important part of the mission of breaking the silence of addiction, thriving in this community, and as you see online, thriving in the broader community is possible through your generous giving here at Free. So we always like to take a moment and say thank you to all of you who've made that a spiritual practice in your life of giving back, and have made it even a sacrificial practice in your life of giving, even when it doesn't always feel good to give. But really, it makes a huge difference here. We are funded by you, the people. So thank you for being a part of that. If you feel compelled to give tonight, if you call this community home, we really encourage generosity here. And we have a giving box here. Says giving on it, and there's a giving box that also says giving on a box just outside these doors. Or if you are the more digital type givers, there are 3 options for you. I'm a digital giver. There are 3 options for you to give online. And the first way to do it is to simply download the free Spiritual Community app. It's free to download. You can give there a one-time, weekly, monthly, however you feel called and compelled to do it. Or you can go straight to the website, freespiritualcommunity.com, and you can give there, same deal, one time, monthly, weekly, however you want to do it. Or you can text a number on your screen. It'll walk you through a very simple set of instructions. And your generous giving here helps grow and make the mission of breaking the silence of addiction thrive. And I hope you see how important that is. Thank you all for being a part of it. Shall we go out with a prayer? Yes is the appropriate answer for that. So I would invite you to just open your hands and be open to the new ways in which God might be moving in your midst, in you, through you, and all around you. And you can take a big, deep breath of air. And you can exhale it. If you don't know the Serenity Prayer, it goes like this. It's on your screen. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. And my free brothers and sisters, this week as you go out and do the work of boundary setting and remembering who you are, may you experience all kinds of grace and peace, and we'll see you next time.